Hi everybody, so in this video we're going to look at solving quadratic equations. Just as a quick recap, something that's quadratic is going to have x squared is the highest power, and something that's an equation is going to have an equals to sign in there. So this is a quadratic equation. Highest power is square and it's got an equal to sign in there. Now, believe it or not, basically everything to be learned about solving quadratic equations we've already done when we look at factorizing quadratics. So hopefully you remember before, factorizing terms that have x squared as the highest power. And that's actually the first step here, is to get all the terms to the left, which we already have. Sometimes they might trick you with that though, or try to. And then just factorize what's on the left. So if we try and factorize what's on the left here, we can see what's common to both of these terms. So 2 goes into both of the numbers, and x goes into x squared and goes into x. So we'll factorize out 2x, and then open up a bracket. So 2x times by 2x will give us 4x squared. 2 by 2 is 4, x by x is x squared. And 2x times by minus 1 is going to give us minus 2x, because 2 by minus 1 is minus 2, and then we keep our x. And again, because this is an equation, it's important to keep the equal to 0 bit here. So now we've factorized out this equation, and we found that 2x times by 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. Again, this part we've already done. We just need to apply this knowledge now to solve the equation. So the way we do that is realize there's going to be two possible solutions. So what we do is let each of the factors equal to 0. You can see here on the left we've got our first factor 2x, and on our right we've got our second factor 2x minus 1. So if 2x is equal to 0, the way we solve that then is to try and get rid of the 2. So divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2 gives us x, and 0 divided by 2 gives us 0, because half of nothing is still nothing. On the right hand side then, where we solve this is take our x term to the left. We're going to bring our minus 1 over to the other side of the equals, and it's going to become a plus 1. So 2x is equal to 1. And then, like the other side, we want to get rid of the 2, so we're just left with x. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 here. 2x divided by 2 just leaves us with x. And then 1 over 2, you could put that as 0.5, but it's fine to leave it as a fraction, 1 over 2. So you can see here, we've got two separate solutions, and the thing is that either of these solutions will actually work. So this is our answer, and this is an answer. So if they ask you to solve a quadratic equation, bear in mind you're probably going to end up with two solutions at the end. Sometimes you might get the same number. You could get x equals to a half here and x equals to a half here. Very often it'll be two different numbers. Here's another example. Now this one is going to use a slightly different technique. Hopefully we can remember factorizing expressions that look like this, where you've got a square number here and a square number here, and we're taking them away. We call this the difference of two squares. So what we do is we get the square root of the first number, so that's going to be 3x, and the square root of the second number, which is 6, put that in a bracket, and then we do the same thing, we change the sign in the middle. So that was the difference of two squares. So again, square root of 9x squared is 3x, square root of 36 is 6. We've again factorized this successfully, and then our last step is to just set up two separate equations. First one is going to be 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. The second equation is going to be 3x plus 6 is equal to 0. And we put our line in the middle there to show we've got two separate equations. Again, just to illustrate this to you, the first equation is coming from the first factor, second equation is coming from the second factor. We just let both of them equal to 0 over here. So technique is going to be pretty similar to last time. Keep the x terms on the left, the normal terms on the right. When minus 6 goes over to the right here, it becomes plus 6. Then to get rid of the 3 and just find out what x is, we're going to divide both sides by 3. So 3x divided by 3 cancels and we're just left with x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's our first solution. We know what x is. Then on the right hand side, going to be very similar. 3x, keep our x terms on the left, our normal terms on the right. It's going to be equal to minus 6. So our 6 goes over. When it changes to the other side of the equals, it also changes its sign. And again, our next step is pretty similar too. We want to get rid of this 3 here so we can find out what x is. So divide the left by 3, divide the right by 3. 3 cancels on the left hand side, we're just left with x. Minus 6 divided by 3 is minus 2. So our two different answers here is x is equal to 2 or x is equal to minus 2. There are two answers. So the final example that we're going to look at is a quadratic trinomial. Trinomial means 3 terms, so 1, 2, 3, and quadratic means the highest power of a letter is squared. So again, very similar to the questions before, the first step here is to just factorize. Again, when we see the x squared there in a formula or in an equation, it means that we're going to have to factorize it before we go any further. So if we think back to how we factorize these, if the number in front of the x squared wasn't there, if it was just 1x squared like this one is, then what we do is use the final number as our guide number. So we can factorize 6. So that could be 1 times 6 or 2 times by 3. Then we look at which of these pairs we can add together to get the middle number. So 2 and 3 can be added together to get 5. So we're going to use 2 and 3. So our answer then, or at least our factorized version of this, is going to be x plus 2 times by x plus 3. Again, we factorized 6 and we saw there was 2 different factor pairs possible, 6 times 1 and 2 times 3. But we chose 2 times 3 because they added together to give 5. 6 times 1 will add together to give us 7, which is in the middle number. Then from here we've got our 2 different factors, so we'll just set up 2 different equations. So x plus 2 equals 0 or x plus 3 is equal to 0. They're going to give us our 2 solutions. So we bring over a 2 here to the right hand side, it becomes a minus 2. On this one we bring over a 3, and it becomes a minus 3. So these are our 2 possible solutions. Now, if it was the case that there was a number here, say it was 3x squared or 2x squared, if there was a number in front of the x squared, you would have to use the other method we went through when we were looking at quadratic expressions and how to factorize them. So if you're not too sure of that, you may need to look back over it, and if that isn't working for you, ask me for help.